never made it, but I know what it takes. I'm motivated by a mix of emotion. Got my statement, and I'm reading it slow so I can understand it fully. Appreciate my standing, go out of this world and right on time. Oh, never in my life have I seen the sky light up like this. I'm far away from Earth and I wanna know if you exist. Mission control, do you read me? Send me my coordinates lately. Mission control, am I drifting? Tie me to someone who will love me, yeah. Wait, I think I'll last a bit longer. Find another reason.
Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to another Ref Brandon and the Todd family YouTube video. Wherever you are, whatever you may be doing, thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd family a part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. Happy Saturday to everybody, and I hope you're ready for a huge day of college football. And if you're not excited about today's slate of games, then you're just not a college football fan. And I know I mentioned it, I believe, in last week's video, but we have to have a talk with the NCAA about the way they make their football schedule, because last week we had 3 or 4 games that looked good on paper, and then 3 or 4 games that we didn't think were going to be good that ended up being good, and the rest of the games sucked. And today we've got 50 good games. You can't tell me they couldn't have put 5 or 6 of the good games today on the slate last week and evened it up a little bit more. But as always, on Saturday during football season, I like to review some of the scores from the upstate of South Carolina and Northeast Georgia in the world of high school football. As always, if you went to a game last night, please feel free to let me know. Now remember that in high school football, teams get 2 bye weeks instead of 1 in college and the NFL. So if there's a team you're following, whether you're a fan of the team or you went to school there, and I don't give their score, they may have been off last night, because by now just about every team has already had 1 bye week. I'm going to do things different this week and do the upstate of South Carolina first, and then we'll talk about Northeast Georgia. But in the state of South Carolina, we'll start with Travelers Rest. They defeat Berea by the score of 42-3. Clover over Boiling Springs, 36-21. Carolina over Whitmire, 41-22. Crescent over Emerald, 28-12. Easley over Southside, 38-12. Dixie defeats Ware Shoals, 16-14. And then a couple of games where the teams decided not to play defense at all. Gaffney defeats Fort Dorchester, 48-40. And Westside defeats Greer, 56-42. Hannah over Lawrence, 48-6. 96 defeats Pelion, 40-7. Liberty over Pickens, 35-14. River Bluff over Dorman, 29-28. South Aiken defeats Clinton, 41-30. Seneca over Woodmont, 40-38. Hillcrest over Wren, 56-42. BHP over Walhalla, 63-35. And West Oak defeats the team that we call for short CFC, but that stands for Calhoun Falls Charter, and they fall to West Oak 56-12. And that was some scores from the upstate of South Carolina. And some of the games from the state of Georgia last night. Buford, surprisingly, wins again. They defeat Marietta 30-3. Mill Creek defeats Parkview 30-20. Peachtree Ridge over Meadow Creek 34-12. Fannin County shuts out Gordon Central 42-0. Hart County, if you check the scoreboard last night, they had a game where they won 1-0, but that game didn't happen. That's because the team they were scheduled to play was forced by the GHSA to cancel the game because of a huge brawl they had last Friday night. Normally, when a team forfeits, they do lose the game 1-0. So, according to the scoreboard last night, Hart County won that game 1-0. But instead of just taking that win and not playing another game, they went ahead and scheduled another game against Bullock Academy. And the reason why they done that is because last night was Hart County's homecoming. So you have to have your homecoming queen and all that, and you still got to have concessions and all that. And that's a lot of money to fork out to not have the game. So they went ahead and scheduled Bullock Academy, and Hart County wins that game 34-9. Athens over Mount Vernon 49-16. Westlake over Collins Hill 42-7. Grayson shuts out Lowndes 40-0. Jackson County over Appalachia 35-17. Lanier over Habersham Central 35-14. Jefferson defeats Clark Central 22-14. Rabun County all over Whitefield 38-7. Commerce defeats Banks County 38-21. Eastside in double overtime defeats Flowery Branch 39-32. Cedar Shoals defeats East Hall 10-7. East Jackson over Johnson 42-0. Elbert County improves to 4-1 on the season. They defeat Jefferson County 39-14. Dawson County over West Hall 32-14. North Cobb over Milton 42-27. Roswell over Johns Creek 56-0. East Forsyth defeats Walnut Grove 21-0. North Forsyth defeats Shiloh 41-7. And Forsyth Central defeats Seconder 28-12. And there's a lot of Forsyth teams in the state of Georgia in high school football. And speaking of Roswell, getting their huge win last night over Johns Creek. If you're over the age of 20, maybe 15, you've heard of James Carney, who worked in radio for years and years and years as Moby. He started out in Tennessee, where he was originally from. Then he worked in radio for a while in Houston, Texas, and then he worked all over the Atlanta and Athens airwaves for years and years and years. I can recall hearing him on the radio when I was about 7 years old. But he actually passed away, I believe, on Wednesday of this week. And I bring that up because he actually lived in Roswell. So James Carney, better known as Moby in the morning, on the radio. I believe he was 69 years old. He went to the doctor for what he thought was a pain and found out it was cancer, and it was too late. So he was 69 years old. So Moby in the morning is no longer with us. And if you're a radio fan at all, you've heard of Moby in the morning. He worked on rock radio, he worked on country radio, he worked on gospel radio. He pretty much worked on any kind of music that's on the radio. So thoughts and prayers go out to his family, because that was definitely unexpected. He was in fairly good health up until this happened, and he thought it was a hip problem, and he found out it was cancer. And he was from Roswell, in case you did not know. Any thoughts on any of this, please feel free to let me know. Homes for Our Troops is a publicly funded 501c nonprofit organization that builds and donates specially adapted custom homes nationwide for severely injured post 9/11 veterans. Since the 2004 inception, nearly 90 cents of every dollar spent has gone directly to our program services for veterans. Visit at hfusa.org. Let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. Did you know that studies show that cows produce more milk when the farmer talks to them? It's a case of in one ear and out the other. And that does it for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them. Bye.